Welcome to Startuprad.io, your podcast and YouTube blog covering the German startup scene with news, interviews, and live events.
Hello and welcome everybody. This is Joe from Startuprad.io. Today I have Anna Christmann here with me. She is the Commissioner for Startups and Digital Economy in Germany. She's also a member of the German Parliament, and she has been working on Germany's startup strategy. Welcome.
Hi, everyone. I'm happy to be here.
Totally our pleasure. We have been talking a little bit upfront, and I already told you I like that there is a startup strategy and that there is investments, but you didn't increase on the 10 billion startup program we covered in the past. We linked the interview down here in the show notes. But basically, my understanding is that the federal government, that is what you're speaking for, now has a startup strategy with 10 points that have been published. By the way, we linked the English document down here in the show notes as well. Can you walk us a little bit through what you guys are trying to do with that?
Yeah, indeed. We have, for the first time, a comprehensive startup strategy in Germany, and that is something that was very important for us to be very fast in having such a strategy, because we see startups as key for the transformation of the economy. We see that startups often are in the fields of sustainability, that they work on projects and products that are very important for climate protection, and that they have the drive to really make change happen in the economy. So that is the reason why, especially maybe as we are now also from the Green Party part in the new coalition, this is a really important point for us to be to have really a good surrounding for startups in Germany. So that is why we have this strategy, and we have, I think we developed it quite fast. It's in action since summer 2022 now, and that was a very important step. And it was important to be fast because now we really want to put all the single projects of the strategy really into action in this election period. So we want to be fast. So maybe just very short, the main points, as you mentioned, we have 10 different fields where we want to proceed. And the first one is strengthening financing for startups. And that is a major point. And you mentioned the 10 billion future fund that we have in Germany. And it's a fund that will last till 2030. So it's in the program already that it's for several years. So it wasn't for us to put extra money in it, but to really now be precise what kind of funds we want to implement within these 10 billions, because it's a umbrella program, if you want to say so. And then we have different funds in the 10 billion future fund. And for example, one new fund we just released is the Deep Tech and Climate Fund. This is new. It's 1 billion and really focused on startups that are into deep tech or climate tech, that maybe develop products that take their time because it's technology that is not that fast that you can put your homepage online after half a year and then you have your company running, but that will take time. And this focus on deep tech is something we really want to support now with the Future Fund. And we will have another very important thing is the European focus with the European Tech Champion Initiative, where we put 1 billion in the European context together with France and other countries. We now have there a fund of funds of 4 billion, almost 4 billion on the European level, that also will help to really have a strong venture capital market in Europe. So that is one of our major focus, to use really this future fund to push for a strong venture capital market in Europe, because we see that is very important on a global scale to make Europe to be seen on a global scale, that it's really an attractive market to fund your company here, and then also to get the financing you need. So that's one of the major points. I can go through the others, but maybe if you have any questions.
Exactly. I really like the idea of improving funding, because when I talk to very young entrepreneurs, doesn't necessarily meaning young in terms of age, but young in terms of their journey to become an entrepreneur. Very early stage startups, doesn't matter the age of the entrepreneur. The main complaint is funding, funding, funding. And there used to be a very good program called Investzuschuss, meaning when you do in a very early stage startup an investment, you get some of the money back from the government, but that was stopped. And I've seen quite a lot of complaints on my timeline in LinkedIn from seasoned business angels, because it appears they are not eligible for this funding anymore, right?
No, it's we had a change in the Invest program, and maybe just to be clear, the Invest program is focusing on business angels. So really, people who want to invest their personal money into a company, and that is something we reward from the public side, giving extra money on it if you act as a business angel. So this is really for seed funding for small amounts of money. And Invest is a very successful program indeed, and we are happy that it helped a lot to also push this business angel ecosystem in Germany. But now we had just a slight change that we really want to focus with the Invest program on virgin business angels. So really, we want to motivate more people to go this way and to be brave and invest in new companies, in young companies, and help them to grow. And we had results from evaluating this program that said it's more important to really try to get new people into the ecosystem of business angels than supporting people who are already very successful business angels all the whole way still in the future. So it's the focus is now on virgin angels and not so much on the business angels that are already in the market for a very long time. And I can understand that it's for them, maybe they would have loved to be supported still. But of course, from a public side, it's important that we have a push for the whole ecosystem and not just for the people who are already in the system.
Mm-hmm. You also want to make it easier for startups to win talents. The employee stock option plans are a point of pain there. The main issue is taxation. And as always, taxation in Germany is a very difficult topic. And guys, you know what I always say, don't mess with Finanzamt. But basically right now, it can get frequently taxed dry, as it's called. That means it is taxed before you get the cash out. There was already an attempt to fix this, but judging from the feedback of the startups and the Startup Association, that didn't work out yet.
Yeah, but we have a clear plan to change this. This is part of the strategy, and Christian Lindner, as the Minister of Finance, is working on it right now, and we are like waiting every day for the new law that will change the rules for these programs, and that will clarify that it's not like today anymore, that after 12 years you will have to pay taxes no matter what, or if you change the employer, when you change the company and you're not anymore an employer, an employee at the company where you have the options, that was also a point of time where you had to pay taxes. But we will change this so that you can also change the company, and you will have to pay taxes only if there is an exit, if there is an event that also gives you money where you can pay the taxes from. So that is definitely something we want to change. We see it as an important project, and the government is working on this specific law right now.
Mm-hmm. Making founding easier is also an interesting topic for me, because in Germany, when you set up a legal entity, something like a LTD PLC equivalent here, you have to see a notary, and it takes a little bit of time until you go through the whole process. You get a lot of physical letters, and actually, before I got from the real business registry, the Handelsregister, commercial registry, before I got a letter from them, I got letters from scammers asking me to pay money when I first set up my legal entities there. Giving away the scammers, they'll always be there. How are you going to make it easier to found a company? I've heard once you should be able to do it digitally within a week. Is that still a goal?
Oh, we want to be even better. We aim at 24 hours. And I think the important word here is one-stop shop. That is something we have as a goal, that you really have one landing page as a startup or as a founder where you find everything you need, and of course where you can do everything that is needed online and digital. That is our goal, and we are working on this also right now. And of course, to put all the different ends together on one landing page, it takes a little bit time because, as you said, there are different actors involved, different ministries, and that is always what is most complicated. But we are really very clear with having the goal: one-stop shop, one landing page, everything digital, and hopefully within 24 hours. We are not there yet, but we really want to see to have a fast progress on this and implement this within the next year, hopefully.
I would just put 2 points together: improving diversity, especially female founders, plus improving the conditions for social startups. What are we looking here? What do you want to do there?
Yeah, female founders is one of my very strong priorities, because I really think it's not acceptable that we have 80% male founders and only 20% female founders. We need women in the startups. We need them to really start companies, because they do it differently also to men, and especially in the fields of education, of health, social startups. They're really, the women are more represented in these fields, and we need more digitization, more startups also in these fields. So diversification is very important. And also we see that diverse teams are more successful in most fields, more innovative. So we really want to push the women to go into these fields and to found their own companies. And that is why we have a new program, Exist Women. Exist is a stipend for founders that come from universities. And we want to now implement a program that is only for women, and that really supports them to in the early phase where they think about founding a company. So very early, to motivate them to go the whole way. So I'm very happy that we will have this new program, Exist Women, starting this summer. That is quite clear already. And we also want to support women on the investor side. And we do this already. The institutions that are publicly owned and driven, there we put women in all the important positions where decisions over investments are made, because that is very important, because men are funding men, and women would decide differently in some ways. And that is very important to have also the financing for female startups and female founders. And that is also something we want to change. So that is really a priority. And I think we have already made some important steps. And maybe just one sentence for the social startups. That is also one part of the strategy. We will also have a social innovation strategy of the government. That is important, because there we will even have more instruments to really support the social innovation sector as a whole. But in our strategy, we focus that we also want to develop new instruments that really support financing for these social startups that have different needs than classical tech startups, because they don't really have this fast growing track, but they need a different type of reliable funding, maybe not that much, but a little bit more conservative funding, if you want to say so. So this is something where we also want to develop specific funding instruments for the social innovation sector.
I had to smile when you talked about different needs for social startups. I still think they need good developers. That's number one issue I always hear. Good developers. Okay. Last point I have here. We didn't cover all of them, but down here in the show notes, there will be all the points translated, as well as a lot of the links. For example, Exist Women, Invest Zuschuss, and so on and so forth. What I also found very important and very interesting is make it easier for startups to be founded out of research. My usual example is MP3 was invented in Germany, but never monetized here.
Yes, it is very important to really use all the potentials that we have and the very strong universities we have in Germany. And Germany is known as a place where we really have a very good research on a high level. But we are not that good in bringing these high-level researchers to start their own companies. And we want to be better in that. But we have one very good example in Germany where this works already very well. That is Munich and the so-called Unternehmertum. That is that is like an ecosystem that has been developed in Munich that is really remarkable, where investors and startups and very good students come together and having a surrounding where it's really easy to bring your ideas as a student or as a researcher into this ecosystem and find people who want to finance you and find people who help you doing all the regulation stuff. And so we see that is really a strong ecosystem, and Munich is a startup city #1 now, not Berlin anymore. So we see that works. And that is why we want to put this example also and use it for other places in Germany. So we're going to do a competition for entrepreneurship centers at universities. So we want to see 5 to 10 other places in Germany where we can establish such a strong startup ecosystem surrounding universities. And I think that is very promising. And combined to that, this is also important to make it easier to have the IP transferred from universities to startups. That is something that can still be quite complicated in Germany when you need to negotiate with your university what the license fees will be, what kind of model is possible to have the IP transferred to the startup. And there we want to also try new ways and having the academic institution as a shareholder, for example, in the startup, and not very expensive license fees. And that is something that is already now in the test phase with the Agentur für Sprunginnovation, our agency for innovation, that helps right now to test these different models of IP transfer to also make it easier to start a spin-off.
Great. And the interview of Stefan Drüssler, the CEO of Unternehmertum, that we published early December last year, I'll link down here in the show notes so you can listen what he says. Unfortunately, we are running a little bit out of time. I'm very sorry. Nonetheless, Ms. Kirschmann, I really enjoyed the interview. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Thanks a lot.
Have a good day. Bye-bye.
Bye.
That's all, folks. Find more news, streams, events, and interviews at www.startuprad.io. Remember, sharing is caring.